Hello everyone. Welcome to Gardening for Better Health. This is Henry B. 723 coming to you today from my kitchen. I wanted to say hello to everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, welcome back. If you've been here before, thank you all for stopping by. Today I wanted to talk to you all about canning sausage links. But more important than that, why can at all? One of the things that we have found over the years, especially the last 4 years, it's very important to can and have enough food on hand just in case something happens and there are shortages at the store, or money gets funny and you need to have some things on hand, or if the power goes out, you need to be able to still continue to maintain yourself until the power comes back on. Canning provides a way to prepare your food and put it up so that it's shelf stable. You won't have to worry about if the electricity goes out and the freezer goes out and your food is ruined if the power stays off too long. That doesn't happen when you pressure can. When you pressure can, your food is already cooked in the jars so that at any point in time after they've cooled down, you can open that jar and eat the contents of that jar because it's already done. Now, mind you, you would like to heat it up, most likely, but you know, sometimes if you have a little hot plate or something, or a little rocket stove that uses wood if your power is out, you can still heat it up and eat it. But if you can't, it's done. So it's not as though you will be going without food for a long period of time. So when you're pressure canning food, keep in mind you always want to pressure can food that you and your family like to eat. It doesn't do you any good to pressure can a lot of food and put it up, and when an emergency comes, it's all a bunch of food that you don't like and you're stuck with food that you don't like, or food that you would not normally eat. In an emergency, anything will do in a pinch, but if you have time and you're putting up things for emergencies, put up the things you like to eat, and that way you're not as inconvenienced when there's an emergency and you have to revert to going into your long-term storage pantry. What I'm doing today, I am canning up link sausage. My favorite meal of the day is breakfast. And what I usually have for breakfast is either bacon and eggs, or sausage and eggs and toast. And oftentimes I don't bother with the oatmeal and things like that. Yes, oatmeal is healthy. But most of the time, if I'm just getting breakfast cooked, I usually go for either the sausage and eggs, the bacon and eggs. I like ham too, but rarely do I have ham because ham is real expensive and it's kind of hard to get enough of it to put up. But usually bacon and eggs, sausage and eggs is what I'm putting up. Today I'm putting up link sausage, even though I like the patties as well, sausage patties. Today I'm putting up links. And I did some research in terms of, okay, if I'm going to put up this sausage, how much do I need to put up? How much do I want to have on hand? And what I'd like to have on hand in an emergency is I'd like to have a year's supply of food on my shelf. I have to work up to that. I'm not there now, but I'm working on it, and I'm planning on getting there sometime soon. When I went to the store to buy these link sausages, I had planned out what I wanted to buy. And I'll show you from my notes how I plan out what I'm going to buy to put up. There are 24 link sausages in a pack, and I'm not promoting any particular brand, but there's 24 link sausages in this pack. So if I have 24 link sausages, how many sausages do I need to put up for a year? It's 365 days in a year. So how many packs do I need in order to have a year's worth of food on hand? Well, if I want 2 link sausages to go with my breakfast in the morning, okay, for every day of the year, that means for the whole year I need 730 links of sausage. That's a lot. I'll tell you, with these sausages, I would need to buy 30 packs of sausage that have 24 links in the package to have enough for one person, just for me, for a year. Now that's a lot. If you have a family of 4 or 5, then you have to multiply that by the number of people in your household that will be eating. So as you can see, when you're planning your pantry, you need to look at, do I want to plan for a month, 6 months, a year? What is my goal when I'm putting up these jars of food? And eventually I'm going to get to that 1-year goal. I went into the store and I paid $4.97 for 1 pack of 24 link sausages. So I bought 6 packs. And out of the 6 packs, that meant I spent $29.82. If I were to buy the 30 packs of sausages at one time, it would cost $149.10 at the price that I found it at. So there's no need to buy them all at one time. When I was in the store, my budget told me, there's no way you're going to be able to do this for a whole year. Start with the 6 packs. That's where you start. Start with the 6 packs and go from there. And so that's what I did. I bought 6 packs, and I'm canning up those 6 packs today. And it's going to be okay. I'll have to go back a few times in order to get the number that I need for a year. But at least I've worked out the numbers of how many I need. I've worked out how much I'm going to wind up spending total. Well, possibly a little bit more, because depending on when I go back, they may have gone up on these prices a bit. So, but I have a rough idea of what it costs me to have the sausages that I like to eat for a year. And mind you, that's with me eating only 2 sausages a day with my meal. So when you're putting up food, you can't be greedy. Put up just enough for 1 meal for yourself and 1 meal for your family members each, so that when you open your jars, you don't wind up having to have anything spoil because you guys didn't eat it all because it was too much. So that's where I am with this sausage. And I'd like for you to think about, okay, what do my family and I like to eat? And jot it down. What is your favorite meal? Okay? And jot that down, and then make provisions for your favorite meal once a day. Start with that. And then after you have the provisions for your favorite meal, then look at the other meals that you like to eat. And work on that little bit by little bit. But there is very, very time-sensitive things we need to look at, because we don't know what's going to happen. We better be prepared. So with these sausage links, I'm going to start putting them in jars. Now to put up the sausage links, I'm doing a raw pack method. Okay, cold meat, cold jars, cold water in a canner. So nothing is hot. and therefore there won't be any issues with me putting my jars in the canner in terms of there being any breakage of my jars because of temperature changes. So I'm going to pack these jars now, and as I go through, now these jars, you do not put water or anything in the jar when you're doing a raw pack. That's why these jars are empty, and that's why I won't need to put any water or juice in it, because when you're raw packing, the meat makes its own juices. So raw pack is a really easy method to use. It does not take long. And as you can see, I'm just sitting these down in the jar so that they stand up. And their natural size gives me that 1-inch headspace that you normally need when you're canning food. So let's see here. How many of these can I get in one jar? Okay. Let's see if I can I get one more in there? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So this is full. We'll go with that. Okay. Set this to the side. So as you can see, this is real easy to do. Just set these links in here to raw pack it. With other types of meats, when you're doing a raw pack and you want to season the meat, oftentimes you put your seasonings in, but with this meat, I don't need to put any salt or anything in it because they don't need salt. I like them just like they are. And too much salt is not good for me anyway. I usually do the least amount of salt that I can. If the recipe calls for putting a tablespoonful of salt in a quart jar, I'll do a teaspoon. And if it calls for doing a teaspoon, I'll do half a teaspoon when I'm using salt, because I don't like salt in my food for the most part. I'd rather add it later. So what about you? Have you ever canned anything? Are you canning anything now? Do you plan to can anything soon? The fall and winter is the best time for me to start my canning, because everything has already been harvested. If I'm canning my vegetables, I've got all of the vegetables in. So the fall is when I start the majority of my canning, and I'll can through the winter depending on what I have to put away. But as you can see, we make quick work of this. And there's that one. Okay. So tell me in the comments, what's your favorite meal of the day? As I said, my favorite meal is breakfast. Is yours breakfast, or do you really like lunch, or do you really look forward to dinner? Which one is your favorite? Now, if you have been canning already, make sure that you have your canner in good working order before you start to use it. If you haven't used it in a while, check it out. Make sure everything is in good working order before you can, so that you don't get in the process of canning something and find out maybe the pressure gauge is not as accurate as it could be. Every once in a while, it's a good idea to have your pressure gauge tested, and they usually do that for free at the extension offices in different areas. So you might want to check with USDA extension in the area where you live, and if your canner is a couple years old or so, have them test it for you to make sure that the pressure gauge is accurate. I bought a canner one time, and when I got the canner, it wouldn't hold pressure. And at the time, I was new to canning, and I didn't know that there was a problem with the pressure gauge. I thought it was me. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. So I canned a couple things, and it just didn't come out right. So I wound up contacting the extension service in my area and made an appointment to bring my gauge in, and they tested it, and sure enough, the gauge that came with the canner was off. So it wasn't, that's why it wasn't holding pressure. So I wound up sending that particular canner back because it was new and it was still under warranty. And I sent that one back, and they sent me another one. So after I got good at it, well, I say good, but after I found out that I could actually can some things and have it come out right, then I decided to get a better canner, and I wound up getting the All-American 921, and that's what I'm using today. My All-American 921 pressure canner allows me to pressure can 19 pints at one time, so I won't have any problems getting these 12 jars in the canner, but I have to double stack them, and my canner allows me to do that, to double stack the jars in my canner. So all right, so that's what we've got so far. Now that didn't take long. We've got one more jar left to finish up these from this particular row, and we are just moving right along. We're done. 6 jars. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean the rims of these jars. Rinse my hands off. And I have my vinegar here. And I already have my paper towel. So I'm going to get a piece of paper towel. And I'm going to wipe the rims of these jars. Now, with the fact that this makes its own juices, I'm going to go ahead and debubble with this debubbler. Although there's no liquid in there that would cause problems, I'm going to debubble it anyway, just to maximize the space that they have. That's one. That one done. And see, with this debubbler, because there is no water in here and the links are soft, I have to be careful that I don't smush them. because they move really easy. All right. Round and round and round we go. Yeah, this way they're in position so that when they do go in the canner and they start to make juices, the juices will have a chance to kind of find their own way because it's already in a position not to let too much air get through. But it will bubble, bubble, bubble once it gets hot enough in that canner. I love watching the meat bubbling when I take it out of the canner when it's done. It looks so good when it's finished. So what about you? Do you have things in your pantry that you need to replace or add to? Have you done a pantry check lately to make sure that there are no problems in your pantry in terms of jars being sealed like they should be? Every once in a while, it's a good idea to go and check your jars just to make sure that nothing has happened. So here we go. Cleaning the rims. With vinegar. Now to make sure that my jars seal properly. Or at least there's nothing in the way to keep it from sealing. Is there anything that you would like to can and you're just not sure if you can or if you should? Leave a note in the comments below and let me know what it is you're thinking about canning. Now, with the canning that I am doing, I'm showing you how I do it. And I'm not saying that you have to do it this way or you should do it this way, but I'm showing you how I do it for informational purposes. Okay. Now here, I have my lids. My lids have been sitting over here in warm water, even though the rules changed and they said that now you don't have to have the lids in hot water anymore. I always keep mine in warm water prior to using them, just to kind of warm up that little seal on the inside of the ring. And I'm doing these just fingertip tight when I screw this lid on. And when you're using your magnet, make sure you're picking up one lid at a time, because sometimes they stick together. Put this on. It stopped. I'm gonna just fingertip tight. All right. So What I like about this is at the end of the canning session, I should have 12 jars that are sealed and ready to go into the pantry. And then when my finances allow, I'll go back to the store and get some more and start working on that 1 year supply, because prices go up on a regular basis, and then availability changes. Sometimes we'll go in the store and we're looking for something and it's not available when we want it. And sometimes things go out of stock and they'll tell you, we don't know when we're going to get any more. So to avoid that, when you're in the store and you see it, and if your budget won't be too mad at you if you get it, go ahead and get it. Now, my canner has already been prepared. I have 3 inches of water in the bottom of my canner, according to my canner's instructions. And I also have a little bit of vinegar in that water to keep the jars from being cloudy. So that has already been done, and I already prepared my lid for my canner. I put a little bit of oil on the lid because my All-American is metal on metal. So to keep it from sticking, I put oil around here and here throughout all of these. And I put oil around the top on the inside of the canner so that there's no sticking. So I'm going to put these jars in here. One, two. So I've got 6 on the bottom. And here's the metal part for me to stack. So I'll put this in here. So I'll put these other 6 on the top level. All right. All right. So those are all there. Also, whenever you put your lid on, there's a vent that's on the inside of and the outside of your lid. Always look through the vent to make sure it's clear. Mine is here, and when I hold it up, I can see light coming straight through. So this lid is all right to use. There's also an arrow that's right here on the lid, on the top, and there's an arrow over here. So I just have to position the arrow there. Okay. Make sure that it's hooked where it should be hooked in here, and it is. And then lift up these levers up here, opposite sides, These are actually called wing nuts. Now that I've got them, come out of here. Got them all up. Now I can go through and tighten it down. Make sure that it's snug. There we go. All right. 2, 3. All right. So that's nice and snug. I'm going to turn the fire on. And I'll leave that fire on high until it starts to vent. Now, once it vents, there'll be a steady stream of steam coming from that exit. Once that steady stream of steam starts, I'll have to let it vent for 10 minutes. And after it vents for 10 minutes, I'll have to let it come up to pressure. I'll put the weight on, and I'll be using the 10-pound weight for my canner for my altitude. So I'll put the weight on. When it comes up to the 10 pounds of pressure, then I can start my timing. And the timing for this particular meat is, these are pint jars, so they will cook for 75 minutes. So I will bring you back when we get to the point where it begins to cook. Okay, our canner has come up to the boil that we were looking for before, and I have had it on venting status for 10 minutes. After it goes to a boil, it will start to vent, like I said, and this is the vent here. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's steam coming out of that vent. When that steam got to the point where it was a steady stream of steam, that's when I started timing it venting for 10 minutes. The 10-minute timer just went off, and so now it's time for me to put my weight on this canner. For my altitude, I need this to go up to 10 pounds of pressure. Over here, as you can see, that's the gauge to show you where the pressure is. So now it is going to build up because I'm going to put this weight on. This is what the weight looks like. And for my area, I needed to build up to 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to put this over the vent. Okay. Now no steam can come out. The steam is going to build up inside the pressure canner. And that is what is going to cook the meat. So now that I have put this on, I need to wait for this pressure gauge to go all the way over here to 10. And then when it does, I will start to time the cooking for 75 minutes because I'm using pint jars. So I will bring you back when they are done. Okay, it has been 75 minutes since I started the jars in the canner. So it is finished processing, and I just turned the fire off. Right now I'm waiting for the pressure to come down to 0. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to move you over here so you can see, so excuse the motion. But here on this dial, it was at 10 pounds of pressure, and because I turned the fire off, it's slowly working its way down this way to 0. Once it gets to 0, then I will be able to take this off. This is the weight. I'll be able to take the weight off and wait 2 minutes and then take the lid off. and it'll be ready to take out of the canner. So that's our status right now. I'll bring you back when I open the canner and take the jars out. See you soon. Okay, we're back for the last part of this canning video. The pressure has come all the way down in the canner. It's at 0. And now it's time for me to take the weight off. And the weight is over here. So I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to move it over here so you can see. Can you see this side? Okay. This is the weight. We're going to take the weight off now. And now that the weight is off, this is at 0. According to my canner instructions, I have to wait for 2 minutes to give it time to settle a little bit before we open this canner. While we're waiting on it to settle, let's do a quick recap of the purpose of this video. I started this video to show you how I pressure can link sausages. And the reason that I pressure can link sausages is to have some on the shelf in the event of emergencies, because you never know what's going to happen with the electricity. You never know what might happen in an emergency. And because I like breakfast as my favorite meal of the day, I decided to can some link sausages. I'll just show you, I'm showing you how I do it. So I'm not saying that you have to do it this way. You do it the way you feel comfortable after you do your research. But I have found that this works for me and my family. So that's where we are. My goal is to put up enough so that I have a year's supply. I just started with that. So it's going to take a while for me to actually gather all of the ones that I need to last me a year. But I will can them up as I go. For you, you may want to think about what's your favorite meal of the day and start with that. Start gathering the things that you really like to eat for your family and do your research to learn how to pressure can those items so that you will have them available in the event of an emergency, and it will be shelf-stable food for you. So if the electricity goes out, your food is already cooked in the jars on your pantry shelf. So let's take a little peek here. Whenever you're dealing with your pressure canner, this canner is hot. That's why I put the gloves on to take the weight off. And now I have the gloves back on so that I can loosen the lid to the canner. So you do opposite sides. Okay. That's those two. That's these two. And that's those two. And it's hooks under here, so I'm going to just spin it slightly to get it away from where it's connected. And now I'm going to lift the lid away from me so that the steam will go that way instead of in my face. So we're going to lift this lid and move it to the sink. Okay, so I'm going to bring you over so you can take a peek in here and see what these jars are looking like. Okay, I've got 6 on top, and then there's a tray, and then there's 6 on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I have a jar lifter. Always, 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 when you're handling hot jars, use your jar lifter because these babies are hot. So let's start with the first one. Grab it. Look at that. It made its own juice. I didn't put any liquid in these jars. It's one. That pop means it's sealing. You always like hearing that popping noise when you're canning. Look at those bubbles. Look at those bubbles. It's amazing. That looks good and it smells amazing. Move those down. Make sure I have room for the next ones. And then with this tray that's in here that separates them, I can take this knife and lift this tray out with the knife. Gloves go back on. And you always want to put safety first when you're dealing with these hot jars. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that looks wonderful. Okay, that's it. So I'll bring it over. That's our 12 jars of linked sausages. They'll sit here on the stove for 24 hours. And once they've sat for 24 hours, I will wash the jars and clean them up. I'll put labels on them, and then I will put them in the pantry. So that's how I do the canned link sausages. I hope you learned something. I hope that you'll give it a try, and you'll have link sausages on your pantry shelf. This is Henry B 723. I hope you have a wonderful day.
like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.